So, in user interface design, the module 5 is all about screen based controls. So, we will see how the screen has been controlled and what are the control pointers that we have here. When it comes to screen based control, often it is called as controls and it is sometimes called as widgets, and these elements are of the screen that constitute its body. By definition, there are graphic objects that represents the properties, the operation of the objects. The screen based controls, a control may permit the entry or a selection of particular value, permit the change or editing of particular value, display only particular piece of text, value or graphic, cause a command to be performed, or possess a contextual pop-up window. So when it comes to screen based control, in this step we will identify the characteristics and the capability of various screen based controls, which will include button, text entry or read only control, selection control, combination entry and selection control, specialized operable control, custom control, presentation controls and web control. Select the proper controls for the user task. Okay, now when it comes to that, you have to select the proper control for the user and for the user task. We will see how that is done. The screen designer is presented with the array of screen based control to choose from. Selecting the right from the user and the task is often difficult. A proper fit between the user and control will lead to fast and accurate performance. A poor fit will reduce the productivity, and it will also have more error and dissatisfaction. Now we will see the principle regarding the control. A control must look the way it works and work the way it looks. It means that suppose it has a control and it has certain characteristics, so it has to allow and it has to also follow those characteristics. Okay, the look of control should make it obvious that it is the control. In the case of MS Word, for example, we will take raised elements can be pressed, dipped elements cannot be pressed. Elements on flat white blackboard can be opened, edit or moved directly. So these functions that we can do. So it has to also follow whatever function it has, whatever functionality it has. A control must be used exactly as it is designed intent. A control must be presented in a standard manner. A control must be presented in a standard manner and used exactly as it is designed intent. We will see what it tells here. The non-standard design use of control destroys the consistency and aggravates and frustrates user who have developed expectation based upon their past experiences. Using standard controls allows people to focus on their task or the content of screen with which they are interacting instead of having a figure of what to do. Now we will see what is operable control. When it comes to operable controls are those that permit the entry, selection, changing or editing of a particular value or cause of command to be performed. Now we will see what are the kinds of operable control. The first one would be buttons, text entry, read only entry, then selection controls, combination of entry and selection, and specialized operable controls. So for that, first we will see what is buttons here. So when it comes to buttons, a square or a rectangular shape control with a label indicating the action to be accomplished. Label may consist of text, graphics or both here. Now what is the purpose of this? To start an action or to change the properties or to display a pop-up menu. Now we will see when it comes to buttons what are the advantages of that. Allows or it was always visible, reminding of choices available, which is also convenient, can be logically organized in the work area, and can provide meaningful descriptions of action. Large size generally provides the faster selection, and it can also possess the 3D appearances. Now, what are the disadvantages of this? It consumes the screen space, size limit the number that may be displayed, requires looking away from the main work area to active, and requires moving pointer to select the buttons. And what is the proper usage of buttons? When it comes to proper usage, use for frequently used action that are specific to a window, to cause something to happen immediately, to display another window, to display a menu option, to set a mode or property value. In web page or application design, use buttons to perform an action, use link to show information. So this is how it will work in web page. Now we will see what are the types of button. When it comes to buttons, we have command buttons, we have tool buttons, we have symbol buttons, we have command buttons, we have location and layout in buttons. So we have certain types of buttons here. So one by one we will see. So when it come to buttons, the first thing, the types of buttons would be the command button. So when it comes to command button, a command button comes in three styles. The first resembles the control, which is commonly found in electric or mechanical devices, which is called as push button. These are not most often rectangular or in text indicator. These buttons are usually placed within a window, and activating them causes the action. Next, they are also often called as command buttons. Next, we have the types of button. These are the example which is shown: the command buttons, the tool buttons, the symbol buttons. So this is one of the example I can say. Now, when it comes to toolbar buttons, this is the second style, in a square or a rectangular shape with an icon or a graphic inside it. So it may have an associated label. So when you have the associated label, it basically you guys will understand what it is. The label may be permanently affixed to a screen within the button, adjacent to it, or only appear when the pointer is moved to the button, called the tooltip. These buttons may appear singly or be placed in groups, commonly called as button bars or toolbars. They are most frequently used to quick access button, which are normally accessed through the menu bar. So these buttons grouping are usually placed at the top of the screen or at the side of the screen. Okay, next, the third style is all about the symbol buttons. The third style is a square or a rectangular in shape with a symbol inscribed inside. The symbol, when learned, or identifies the button and the action to be performed when the buttons is selected. These buttons, specific to a platform and provided by it, are located in the borders of windows and are used to do such things as obtain a system menu or resizing menu. Next, when it comes to command button, the usage would be windows within a menu bar used to provide fast access to frequently used or critical buttons, and the structures would be provide a rectangular shape with a label inscribed within, give the button a raised appearance, maintain the consistency in style throughout an application. And when it comes to command button, the labels would be as given here. So use the standard button labels, provide meaningful description, use 2 or 3 words for clarity, use mixed cases of letter, and display labels where it has the regular system font or same size font. Do not number the label, center the label within the button borders, provide the consistency in labeling. And when it comes to size, provide the larger button as feasible, maintain the consistency between the height and width. And when it comes to number, restrict the buttons on the windows to 6 or fewer, which is very minimal depending on the requirement. And location and layout, maintain the consistency in button location between the windows, never simple fit buttons in available space. And when it comes to location, we have to also make sure that the position is very centered, aligned properly. And when it comes to alignment, you have to also consider the horizontal and vertical thing. And when it comes to adjacent, we have to make sure that it is related to our control. And we have to see that the location and the layout is properly aligned and it has the adjacent buttons. So this is all about the command buttons. And this is one of the example for expanding and invoking the features of a button location. So, and a few of the guidelines has been mentioned here. And this is how the buttons having the relationship with the another control button. So this is how it is mentioned. And these are the example for the command buttons indicators. You can apply, you can open, you have a menu, you have option, you have clear. The expansion buttons will be like whether you are expanding it or what. So this is all about the command buttons.